What's up, Trainiacs? Welcome to this week's Triathlon News Day Tuesday, where in this week's edition of Triathlon News Day, the Half Ironman World Championship gets awarded to one of the locations that's been bidding for it for a while. New attempts at 100K and 50-mile course records are taken a shot at, and iconic races might be returning home. Welcome, triathletes, to Triathlon News Day Tuesday, where every single Tuesday, as long as I don't forget to post this video instead of another video, we talk about goings-on all around the triathlon world. Make sure you stick around to the end, where we share everyone's favorite part of Triathlon News Day. That is a story from the Trainiac community, and as always, full links to everything we talk about will be in the description below. Let's get into it. Ironman announced over the last week, while the Half Ironman North American Championship was taking place in St. George, Utah, that would be the recipient of the 2021 Half Ironman World Championships. In addition to that, they also announced that there would be a rotating full Ironman distance race that it goes between several different locations in North America, one of which being St. George, Utah, which is going to host its first ever full Ironman. And when it does end up going to St. George in 2023, that full Ironman distance race will then be the full Ironman North American Championship. So St. George, Utah, brutal race, very hard. We're going to talk about it in the results portion of today, but they are expanding, doing more races because it's a very cool, scenic place. Have you seen the pictures there? Phenomenal. HOKA Project X was announced last week at the very last minute, just before the Project X race announcement was made. Now, this was an attempt at breaking the 100-kilometer and 50-mile world record at the same time to help promote the HOKA Carbon X shoe, which was designed for these longer ultra-endurance events or marathons. Over the course of the event, Jim Walmsley won the 50-mile race in a time of 4:50:08, just breaking the previous record by less than a minute, and that time for 50 miles is an average pace of a 3:37 kilometer, about a 5:49 mile. For 50 miles. Crazy. Unfortunately, the top finisher for the 100K race didn't end up breaking the 100K record, but Jim Walmsley, who had to finish the 100K race to have the 50-mile section where he broke the world record time, he had to finish, and he slogged it through, trotting it in after he finished that 50 miles in the record-breaking time. Basically, pulled over onto the side and went into cruise mode. We also got some shots from some of our pals. Sarah True, for example, showed off her new HOKA Carbon X, so we did see what the shoe actually looked like, and it's going to be available soon. Canyon launched the first ever all eCycling team. So this is a cycling team of 10 athletes and a race director who are going to only compete in the Zwift KISS race series. So this is a team that's only competing in online simulated bike cycling races, but they're going to do it very much like a tour race, where all of the athletes, regardless of where they are, they're going to be tuned in, and the race director is going to be calling out instructions and race tactics. So they are going to actually take on other different teams all around the world in the same types of manners that they do in real cycling races. Very cool. And word just got out, and this is very exciting for all of us Canadians, that Ironman Canada might be returning to where it was started in Penticton. Now, if you know the history of this, Ironman Penticton was one of the original 6 full Ironman distances that was invented. It was iconic. The town of Penticton is small enough that it really cared, but big enough that they had enough volunteers to do it. Several years ago, the town of Penticton started pushing back a little bit on Ironman, and Ironman, instead of pushing back and trying to meet somewhere in the middle, they said, you know what? We're Ironman, we don't really need you, Penticton. We're out. Penticton went with Challenge, which got fractions, less than I think 20% of the entries that came to full Ironman Canada when it was in Penticton. And this has been very sad for a lot of Canadians who have raced this multiple times, and it being such an iconic event along with Kona and Lake Placid and events like that. It's nice to hear that it's potentially going to come back, but the bidding process and negotiations still need to be worked out. In race news, the ITU Long Distance World Championships occurred over the weekend with Javier Gomez winning on home soil by over 6 minutes. Now this is a very unique distance, kind of in between a half Ironman and an Ironman, with a 3K swim, 113K bike, and then a 30K run. On the women's side, Alexandra Tondeur of Belgium ended up winning by just about a minute, a lot closer there. Lots of Ironman racing occurred over the weekend. Like I said, the North American Half Ironman Championships happened over the weekend, and leading into it, Rudy von Berg wasn't sure that he was even going to race, not feeling very good. He came out with the win on the men's side, and Holly Lawrence cemented that she is back, she is injury-free, and knocking off race win after race win, nabbing the women's overall title. Half Ironman Busselton also happened with the timeless, I can't believe, as far as like all-time greatest stud triathletes, when you look at like talent over the course of many years, the person with the best stud to all-time years of studliness ratio, Craig Alexander, came out with the win on the men's side in Busselton, and Felcity Sheedy-Ryan won on the women's side. While full Ironman Australia went on, our pal and instructor from ProTriathlonTraining.com and the bike course, Cam Wurf, won on the men's side, while Laura Siddall, a pal of our podcast, won on the women's side. News with the podcast is that over the weekend we released an episode with Paul Larson, the other half of Plews and Prof, the partner of Dan Plews, who I'm working with on the low-carb fat adaptation process. And Paul Larson is the head of HIT Science, which is an organization, a website that teaches how to use high-intensity interval training. And what he talked about that was really interesting in the podcast is that he believes that with a combination of high-fat, low-carb adaptation and high-intensity interval training, you can probably get a 20-hour training week kind of effect with as little as 10 hours, because you are playing into some of the most high return on investment things that you can do as a triathlete. This week we are recording an episode with Lauren Goss, pro triathlete, who just a year ago, she was on sleeping pills and anxiety medications and never thought that she would race again. We're going to talk to her about why she's racing again and racing really well, winning events. Now, in related awesome news, the Trainiac Story for this week goes, "Hi Taren, my name is Damien and I live in the northwest of England. Today, I've just completed my first sprint triathlon in a pool, and it has to be said that it's the most rewarding experience that I've ever encountered. I took up triathlon because I was forced to retire from rugby league in 2018 due to both of my shoulders being badly damaged and requiring surgery. I was devastated when my consultant gave me the options, which were either to retire or keep playing and end up in surgery with a potential shoulder reconstruction and a new shoulder at the age of 29. With this, I decided to hang up my boots for the family's sake and take on something that was completely different, utilizing what little bit of ambition I could still muster up. I'd always been intrigued with the Ironman in Bolton, which is due to happen here in June, but I knew that it would be too big of a task learning each discipline of swim, bike, run, and trying to lose the rugby weight at the same time in order to ensure that I can get around the course confidently and without straining due to being overweight. I started training back in October 2018, and triathlon has helped me become a better and more honest person and live a healthier life. I can't quite tell you how much triathlon has changed my outlook on training and my lifestyle, as well as my family's outlook. After this triathlon, I now have many training partners, and it's also inspired 6 more people to each try their own race. It's been such a great sport, and I'm definitely looking at creating a full season next year with races all planned out. Many thanks, Damien." Thank you very much, Damien, for sharing your story. It's always great to hear people that are coming from a traditional big athlete kind of sport, because a lot of big athletes say, well, I'm not built for running, it's too hard for me to get around, I weigh too much on the bike, it's too hard for me to swim because I'm too muscular, but here you are doing it. We don't all have to be looking for land speed records out there. In your case, changing your life and the lives of people around you is enough. So congratulations, Damien, and I encourage anyone who wants to share their story because I find them so motivating, and the messages that we get are that other people find them motivating too. So help them out by emailing us at Taren@triathlontaren.com. Include some pictures and get featured here on Triathlon Newsday. And if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button below. Later, Trainee Axe. That was a nice wrap up. That was like one breath for 40 seconds. That was good. Pro.